July 4th, 2023, Durango Dank here. You know, when you think about note connections, when you think about Universal Music Group and my buddy who was my old drummer, and most people don't understand that he was an unbelievable drummer. He was a human metronome. And I remember when Steven would go and take his drum. He had a red marching snare drum, and he'd do his drum solo on that, and unbelievable. People were just breathtaking. Then we all moved to Los Angeles to pursue a music career. Our band was called Boy or Dyer. They were the best musicians. It was the first band I ever sang in. And then I kind of had to get a surgery because a drunk driver ran a red light and hit my car, and ended up having to get a right rib removed. It was pretty devastating for me and the rest of the bandmates, because it never materialized. But they all went into different professions, and Steve played drums for quite a few different people. And back home, he was a drummer for a band called Wolfpack. But he died a day before my son's birthday, which is March 13th. And it was a pretty sad day. And I know Universal Music Group misses this guy, because he was a great guy. And he went out of his way not to piss anybody off. He always gave everybody their way until it had to be his way, and then he'd just say it, and then people would do it. So I thought I had a good drummer, and I was in another band. It was a Sammy Castile was my guitar player. He did the best Jimi Hendrix that anybody has ever seen before, and he was a Mexican dude, and unbelievable. And then my bass player, Kiki Masters, was telling me that at that time, I wanted him in my band, and he used to play with Sammy Castile, but he realized that Sammy was just on his own trip, and stayed on that trip, and eventually died on that trip. So with that said, when you think about note connections, they're everything. And when you look at the gentleman Grainge and Carol G and Drake and all the people, like Drake's just, to me, he's unbelievable. I don't ever pretend to be something I'm not. I just a guy trying to produce music, and I do it for me. I don't have any real fans, just, you know, what I conjure up. But I don't do it to build fan base. I just do it for my base, in my own, you know, in my own way of making things work for me and making me happy. And at this point, you know, my goal is to keep Steve's memories alive. And he was a great guy, man. So I know that Universal Music Group misses this guy, especially the people that were close to him, and his wife and his little boy Anthony. And this guy Steve, he loved his parents, his dad, his mom, his sisters. They came out and watched us rehearse one time. We were playing out in Arizona, in Phoenix. So there was a lot more to this guy's life than what is written in this obituary for Steve Pokorny. He's going to be missed, but not forgotten. He did some great work with, I remember when he was working with Richard Pryor, one of his favorite comedians, man. It's just amazing that he got to work with a lot of people that he really liked. I don't know if they knew that he liked them, but Richard Pryor was Steve's comic go-to comedian, and he'd always say things They would crack you up out of nowhere. So, anyways, we miss you, Steve, and so does Universal Music Group 10 years later, actually 11 years later, and then some. But it's all about now, it's all about node connections and who you meet, do the right thing, taking control of your own metaverse, your own data, because nobody has more authority than you. As soon as you give that authority to someone else, you lose it. So a lot of people try to get everybody to join all these social networks, and you can't do anything unless you join these social networks. And unfortunately, you join the social networks and they keep your juice turned down. And unless you buy an ad, or then you start seeing your competitors. The metaverse is a cruel world, and we all control our own, and we can control others depending on where you are in the conversation flow, action flow, metaverse flow. You either can do what you say you can do, or you can't. Steve did what he said.